Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday morning so far. Also, hope you guys are ready for another video in our YouTube application series. Now, we have some very interesting bits of code to write today. So why don't we go ahead and get started by taking a look at a very quick demo as to exactly what we're going to build, and then we'll take a look at the implementation for it. So I'm going to show you my screen here. And what you see in the simulator, let me just bring it to the center, is our current application. And upon clicking on one of these video cells, we get the loader. And as soon as the loader is ready, we have the ability to pause and play our video. Very simple. And that's the kind of basis as to the controls that we've implemented so far. And if I tab into my kind of somewhat completed demo, it's not totally completed, but it allows me to play a video. If I hit the play there, and what you see on the bottom near the very border here is an actual scrubber, is what we kind of call this. I think that's what it's called. And it allows us to kind of go to certain portions of the video as you drag the little thumb right here. It's called a thumb, this little circle part. And also we have a couple of other components on the left and the right, which shows the current playback time of the video and also the duration of the video. So we're not going to get to all of this today, but I want to show you guys how to build out the duration label and then how to put this little slider guy in the middle of these two labels here. So very interesting stuff. And I want to go through this as fast as I can before I kind of lose you guys here. So the code so far that we're interested in, or the file rather, is this video player view guy. And inside of here is basically where we want to first build out the label that shows the duration of the video that we're going to be playing. So this video is 29 seconds, and I'm going to start by creating the label right above, let's see, right above handle pause. No, let's create right above the init right here. So I'm going to say let, and this video label will be called video length label. Hope that makes sense for you guys. And here, let's just create this label like so programmatically. Let label equals UI label. Let's create that right there. Label text, and we'll just use some dummy text right here of 0000, and label text color will be equal to, let's just use dot white color like so, returning this label as soon as we execute the closure with these two parentheses guys here. Hope you guys are used to programmatically creating some of these components. It's easier for me because it allows me way more control and flexibility as to what I want to do with these components. And here we go. How do we put this guy onto the actual app? So I want to put it on the bottom right corner right here. And I'm going to go inside of init frame, and right at the bottom area right here, I'm going to add it into this actual container. So controls container view is this actual container. And I'm going to say controls container view, add subview, video length label, and let's anchor it on the bottom right. So video length label dot right anchor right here, constrained to, let's just use controls. Actually, I think I can just use right anchor like this. And here we go, video length label, bottom anchor constrained to bottom anchor. Because this just refers to the entire view's bottom and right anchor right there. And next, I'm going to, let's use a width anchor, constrained to constant. And I'm going to give it perhaps 60 pixels like that. And finally, the height anchor will be constrained to perhaps 30 pixels, or maybe 20, it's 24, I think that is a good value. Let's get rid of the file explorer guy there. And having done all that, we will need to set all these constraints to be active. And finally, let's not forget this label translates property equals to false. So having done all of that, we can now visually see this label inside of the container. So clicking there, we get this label on the bottom right. So nothing too fancy or special just yet. So we're just getting started with the video, and hopefully this is a good beginning to some more interesting bits of code. I'm going to change the font to UI font, bold system font of 14, I think I'll call it. And you see how the label is kind of in the middle right there. I will fix that by saying text alignment equals dot right. So I just want to rerun this application to kind of see where this label is going to land for us right there. So that looks pretty good. It's on the right now. And to give some spacing on the right side of the actual label, it's very easy if we go to this right anchor here and type comma constant of perhaps -4. That'll give us 4 pixels. Let's just use 8 while we're at it. And that's going to allow me a bit of padding on the right, which gives me a good start to where we want to place this scrubber guy right here. So I just want to build out this slider for you guys today. And to build out the slider, I'm going to create this component, this native UI kit component called a UISlider. So why don't we go here and say, let's just call it slider, perhaps video slider. UISlider equals this, and let's sell slider equals UISlider. And we will just use a blank constructor, return this slider as soon as we execute the closure. And here is what we will get for the actual scrubber. So to get this in view, let's just do the same thing of adding this, let's see, controls, container view, add subview, slider, video slider. And here we go. So one thing I'm missing is slider.translates equals false. There we go. Now we can start anchoring the video slider to, let's see, so the right anchor will be constrained to the left of this video length label. So let's constrain this to video length label dot left anchor. And now we can say video dot slider bottom anchor constrained to, let's see, bottom anchor, and video slider dot width anchor constrained to something. So we can actually specify the width a couple of ways. And if I use the left anchor instead, I can constrain it to left anchor of the entire view, which will bring it from the left here and then stretch it all the way to the left here. So that's what this will mean. Finally, video slider dot height anchor, let's just constrain it to a constant of perhaps 30. I think it makes sense for us. And I'm going to make it all active by just pasting active here. So running this, we're gonna get this really big slider inside of our video player view. And so this is what I mean by really big slider, right? And let's fix a couple of issues here. The first issue is this blue color right here really needs to match the YouTube red color. So to do that, all you have to do is go back to the slider here and say slider dot minimum, see, track tint color. It's a long name. And we can say dot red color here. That'll just set it to this red. And secondly, all we want to do for this thumb circular image there is to change it to this red color. And I haven't really figured out how to actually change the size and the color for the thumb. So what I am going to do is see thumb, and you can actually set the thumb image to some kind of image. So I'm going to use UI image named something, and state will be normal. So the question is, what is this image guy right here now? I'm going to use this assets directory here. I'm going to drag this thumb image inside of my project, and it's basically that circular thumb. So going back to video launcher inside of whatever this guy is called, video player review, inside of this slider, we can just use that thumb image and we should be okay. So running this now, we're going to get the red track for the minimum side and also the red thumb for this guy right here. So that's how you kind of get the thumb and the track to work at the same time. And notice this gray area, I think it needs to be white. So let's see, that's kind of whitish there. So I think this pause button is kind of buggy right now. So let's click on the pause and let's change the maximum track color, which is the right side, to white. Now slider dot maximum track tint color equals dot white color. And that should give us a pretty good start for our scrubber. And now I think we're ready to actually implement the functionality that handles the actual value changing inside of our slider. So every time we scrub from left to right, it is actually changing from a starting value of 0 on the left, and then all the way on the right is a value of 1. So it's 0 and 1 by default. You can change that value, but we're just going to use that to actually seek to a different time inside of our video clip. So before I do that, I actually want to show you guys how to change this label down here. So you see how it says 0000? I want to actually change that to the duration of the video clip. And to do that, I will go to the setup player view, and let's see, we're listening to, or we're observing this loaded time range property here, and we're being signaled every time the loaded time range actually changes. And inside of here, when the player is actually playing, so this is where it's ready for playback, what we can do is this. There's a video length label dot text equals something. And what is this something? Well, first we have to figure out how long the actual clip is. And you can do that if you say let duration equals player. So player is the player that we're playing the video on, and access this thing called currentItem on it, and you can call duration, which gives you a seekToTime reference. So the way you actually play with the seekToTime is a little tricky, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how to deal with it. So you can say let seconds equals seekToTime get seconds from this duration guy. And this will actually give you the seconds. So because this is an optional value, this duration right here, we can unwrap it safely by doing that and paste that in there, and we should be okay with the compiler warnings. So now seconds represents how long this clip is. So remember, seconds can be like 29 seconds, or it can be perhaps 80 seconds. So you kind of have to play around with how you want to display the actual text in here. And the way I am doing it is this. So if I say let seconds text equals, let's see, I want to actually divide seconds by, let's see, actually I want to use modulo operator is what this percent is called. And if you modulo by 60, you can actually get the seconds or the remainder of this seconds value. So if it's 29 seconds, you'll get 29. If it's 80 seconds, you'll get a value of 20 for seconds text. So I'm going to just quickly type this for now, seconds text, I believe. Let's just see what that gives us whenever our player is ready for playback. So let's click here, videos getting ready. And as soon as we kind of have the information for the duration, we see 29 point something, something, something. And the reason why there's this dot, dot, dot is because this is a floating point number. And if we convert this to an int first, and then modulo by 60, we'll actually get the integer representation of that value. So that's how that kind of works. And there we go. Video is getting ready, and once it's kind of done, we get a value of 29. So let me pause this down here. You'll notice that you can see this text a little better, and that's because I have this black gradient down below. Pause. And I'll show you guys perhaps how to do that either at the end of this video or in the next one where we do some more fancy bit of coding. And here we go. So 29 seconds is there. That's how we set the duration. If you wanted to get the minute in there, so this is hard coded to 00 right here. To get the minute, you would just say minutes text equals int of seconds divided by 60. So that's how you would get the minutes text and minutes text. And there we go. So right now it's 00. So you're not going to see a whole lot of change inside of that label. And there we go. It's going to say 00. And you notice how it says 0, just the 1 0. If you wanted to get an additional leading 0 in front of that, all you have to do is, let's just do this here. So how about var? Let's see how this looks. Minutes text equals. So you can call a string format like this, and if you use a value of %0 to d and use a value of, let's see, int seconds divided by 60, I think is what we need. And let's just use let there, and what do we get? So that is going to give us a value with 2 zeros in it, and that kind of looks a little nicer, at least in my opinion. I think that's how a typical video playback control will look like. So here we go. How do we deal with the actual scrubbing of the video player using the slider? So in other words, if I'm scrolling through here, it kind of just goes from one portion of the video to the next, and then it kind of plays the video after it's done as well. So let's just figure out how to control this slider value right now by going up to the video slider, and we can say this. So slider.add target, and we'll add target of self. Selector, let's just call it handle slider, see slider change, and this will be value changed. Okay, and now we need to fix this function here by creating it there. I think we can now fix this self guy with a lazy var. Hope you guys are used to this by now. And if I just want to print out video slider dot value, you'll see what happens every time I move the track, and you'll get the actual print statement of the exact floating point value of the track. So you see it goes from 0 to 1 down here. This goes from 0 to 1. And that's how we're going to control the video. So how do we actually skip to a different segment of the video? Well, we will just call player seekToTime here. Let's just use this one with the completion handler. And we need to construct this time variable there. So let's just enter here, completed. Seek is what this completion will give you. And perhaps do something later here. So how do we construct this time parameter? Well, if you kind of look at the documentation by letting a seekTime equals cmTime, let's see this guy, you need to use this value and time scale constructor. And cmTime value is actually the amount of seconds if you set this time scale to 1. If you set this to 10, this will seek to the value of 10 seconds in the video. So seekTime gets you that. And if you run this, once I start sliding the actual track, it's going to just skip to the video of 10 seconds. So let's get ready. And this is the actual 10-second mark of the clip. And you'll notice how the thumb doesn't move, and we'll fix that perhaps in the next video. So how do we get it so that we can actually seek to the correct video portion as we are sliding the scrubber here. So the way to do this is actually figure out what this value is. So what is this value guy right here? And we actually need to calculate it based on the video slider's value. And we will do something like this. So first, let's get the duration of the entire clip, which is 29 seconds. And if I say if let duration equals player.currentItem.duration. So just like how I showed you guys before, to get the 29 seconds, we will say let, perhaps total seconds is a better name for it, duration. And we will call seekToTime get seconds duration. So that's how you would get the 29 value in that variable. And now we need to actually get the actual value right here, this value guy, based on this guy and this guy. So we can say video slider dot value times total seconds. This will give us that value. So let value equals that, and I need to cut all this and paste it in here and use this value here. So this value is a little tricky to work with, and this needs to actually be a float, I believe. So let me just take a look down here, and okay, so this is a little tricky, and what we need to do is we need to cast this value down to a float 64. So you see how this value is a float 64 value up there. If we cast this to a float 64, the actual operation of this will be correct. And I believe this needs to be an int 64. So int 64 is what this constructor is expecting. So I don't want to get too much into this, but you basically have to figure out what the correct type all these variables are expecting. For example, if I wanted to know what this guy is expecting, you can kind of take a look at this and then command click into this guy. Is expecting a seekToTime value, command and click into there, and you kind of see that it is a int 64 value. That's how you would kind of figure out. It's a little convoluted, but we have to do that nonetheless. So here we go. The player is ready. I'm going to kind of scrub through here, and you see it's kind of jumpy, right? But after it's kind of loaded, it does a pretty good job as to where you want to scroll to in terms of the video. So everything's looking good. The pause button is still there. Perhaps we'll fix that a little later as well. So there we go. Not too bad for just the little bit of code that we did, or the little bit of code that we wrote up. And we get pretty good functionality with a native component that is the video slider. So not too bad. Okay, that is going to be it for today. Hope you really liked today's video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. In the next video, I want to kind of show you guys how to change the left side label so that you can see where in the video the actual playback is playing at. And I'm showing you guys how to actually automatically update that value as the video is playing. So interesting stuff. Hope you guys wait for that video. Subscribe to the channel so you guys can get the notification for that. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.